In order to get mastery of your technique and artistic expressions in portrait photography, you must practice a lot. It's time to spend money on a nice camera and lens once you've begun to grasp the complexities of portrait photography. Since numerous cameras today can produce excellent portraits, there is no such thing as an ideal camera for depictions. Knowing how to use them in various lighting and environmental situations is key. I'll talk about ISO, f-stop, exposure, and aperture. ISO is your camera's sensitivity to light as it pertains to film or digital sensors. A low ISO means less sensitivity to light, and a high ISO means more sensitivity to light. You can use ISO to enhance your images and the flow of light into your images. However, it comes with a cost. And what is that cost? The cost is grain. The higher the ISO, the more the grain. The lower the ISO, the lesser the grain. So now we're going to practicalize how ISO affects a particular photo using this camera, the Nikon D60, an entry-level camera. So I'm just going to light this match. Ouch, that hurt. So that's that for ISO. And as you can see from these images, you can see like the differences between all the values and what they give. And if you notice right here, you can notice like the grain intensity is quite much, and that is because our ISO value was being increased. So that's basically it for ISO. And you can use that to navigate different scenarios or situations that you find yourself shooting in, to get your images to have the exact amount of exposure you need, while keeping note that the higher the ISO, the more the grain. The way your photos are created are reliant on three major factors, or the triangle, which is ISO, your shutter speed, and aperture. The f-stop number or setting is what controls the aperture in a camera. So remember when I said ISO gives grain when you go higher. To avoid a scenario like that, you keep your ISO on a steady value, a value that you like, that gives the image enough light, and then you adjust your f-stop value to match that. So adjusting your f-stop value now helps control the amount of light entering the camera. But however, the higher your f-stop value, the lesser the depth of the photo is displayed. So if you're a photographer who likes blurring out your background, I would advise you go low on your f-stop value and use the shutter speed to adjust the flow of light into your photo. Shutter speed controls how fast or slow your shutter closes, affecting the time of your exposure and helping you freeze motion properly. The lower your shutter speed, the darker the scenario. The higher your shutter speed, the brighter the scenario. In the sense that shutter speed is a fraction, and the fraction goes lower when the numbers of the denominator increases, and the fraction goes higher when the number of the denominator reduces. For instance, if you're shooting something at 1/60, it's going to be way brighter than shooting at 1/300. So you can use your shutter speed to adjust the inflow of light if you do not want to tamper with your ISO or your f-stop value. So that way you have your depth, your desired depth, and you have an image that doesn't have grain, and you're adjusting your shutter speed. But note now, the lower the shutter speed, the faster you capture motion, while the higher the shutter speed, the more blur is seen to be observed. Now I'm going to show you how to adjust these settings using your phone. Now, I'm using the iPhone 12, and on the iPhone 12 camera, on any basic iPhone camera, once you open your camera, you can choose to put your grid lines if you want to perfect your composition, or you can just leave it plain. You can also use the wide angle lens or the normal lens, the telephoto. So on iPhones, to adjust exposure, all you need to do is tap on the subject. You can hold it down so that it locks it in, and then you toggle with the brightness here, as you can see. Great. And now, the more advanced iPhones make it easier for you to adjust different things, like using portrait mode, for instance. Using portrait mode, you can easily adjust your f-stop value and create an image where the background isn't blurred, or an image that has the background really blurred by toggling this. Then you have applications that help you adjust these settings if you can't really find them on your iPhone or your phone. For instance, I use Lightroom Mobile. So Lightroom Mobile now has an application for your camera. So when you open it, you see your values, your ISO value, your shutter speed, and your exposure. You see all of these things here. I hope this helps when it comes to understanding your basic camera functions. Let's move on to finding the right locations.